300 nautical mile cross country, try 1100 nautical mile. Well, I guess technically 2200. Anyways, let's find out. Hello my friends, welcome back to Late Departure. I'm Adam. As some of you know, this is my continuing journey to hopefully becoming an airline pilot at some point in the future here. And as you can see outside, I'm cruising at 9,500 feet here. And I'm heading out towards New Hampshire to go visit some friends, but also do my 300 nautical mile cross country, which in this case is actually going to be a little bit closer to 1,100 nautical miles. So doing a little bit more there, but it is a good chance to you know, learn a little bit more about you know, how to fly in real world situations, and you know, how to navigate and how to get around, and kind of yeah, just how to fly in more of, I guess, a semi-commercial setting, because I guess this is the kind of thing you're doing if you're a commercial pilot. You'd be doing a lot more of this kind of, you know, just flying around, flying long distance to different places. So this is my first time doing this. It's also my first time flying at this altitude. I'm sure a lot of the guys who are commercial pilots would laugh at me when they hear about that, because I'm sure 9,500 is nothing at all. But this is a nice altitude because it's below the legal altitude where I would need oxygen, and it also has a really nice tailwind as well that's pushing me along, which will save me quite a bit of time on this journey over the long run, which is really cool. And yeah, I'm just going to keep flying out here, flying out and enjoying this trip. And I'll keep checking in with you guys to see if I can maintain my sanity here. But I'm basically just entering into Ontario, and you can see in Ontario, there really is very little out here. It's kind of the boonies. So constantly thinking about, if there's an engine failure, then where am I going to put the plane down? And fortunately, all of these lakes out here are frozen, so it's not too bad to take it down one of these places here. In the summertime, it might be a little more difficult, so it makes wintertime a little bit better in terms of this cross country, but at the same time, I have to consider that it is very cold. So you see behind me, I have a lot of like emergency gear and stuff like that, so I can you know, just stay safe. That's the most important thing. So I'm going to keep going on here. I'll keep you guys up to date. We'll check in every once in a while, and let's make our way all the way out to New Hampshire. 1,100 nautical miles. Here we go. All right, 1 hour and a half or so into this trip, I've still maintained my sanity, which is good. Got to do that out here. It's very, very interesting. It's a lot of the same, but the thing that's made me very happy right now is that I'm finally over roads, and you can probably see if you look way down there, some roads near the ground, which is very, very nice. It's still a lot of nothingness over on this side here, but yeah, that made me very happy, because it's yeah, it's really interesting flying out here. A lot of this trip is kind of over the Canadian wilderness, sort of in the middle of nowhere, and very reassuring to know that if something happens, like an engine failure or something like that, that I'll have a place to land, and that's key. So that's really good. And yeah, they got some really good roads around here as well that could potentially be used for a forced landing if that had to happen. That's something I always have to think about. And on a long trip like this, you know, you're always it's always in the back of your head. Always got to be careful. But otherwise, it's been beautiful so far. Because of my late departure, haha, today, you know, there's a little thing with maintenance on the plane, and so I had to depart a little bit late. And I don't think I'm going to push it to go all the way to New Hampshire. I got a flight plan all the way there, but I think what I'm going to do is stop, maybe one stop before that, and find a hotel, and just be safe, because I'd rather fly. I think there's the Adirondack Mountains or something like that, way over in that area, and I'd rather just be safe. And yeah, just going to keep on this flight. Everything's going pretty well so far, and I'm enjoying it. You don't really hear much from other people out here, but every once in a while you do get someone. I finally heard about the legendary Pickle Lake that my instructor Ken loves so very, very much. Apparently there's some people out there practicing flying, and they were talking on the en route frequency, and I was like, man, Pickle Lake, that sounds like a party of a place. I'd love to go there someday. But in any case, got to get back to the flying here. We're going to keep going. We're going that way for a long, long time. We'll keep going that way, and we'll keep working towards our goal here, just with this beautiful tailwind, and just keep having fun flying out over this beautiful Canadian wilderness here. We're just about maybe 30-40 minutes away from passing Thunder Bay, and I think about an hour and a half away from our first fuel and brake stop, which is called Marathon. So let's keep trucking along here. All right, so I'm actually just coming almost to the end of the first leg of my trip here, the first little bit that takes me out to Marathon, and I just Lake Superior in the distance just came out. You can see that massive thing out in the distance there. That's what I'm currently looking at trying to avoid, of course. Now, even though the lake is completely frozen over, it's still not a great place because a lot of the moisture, I think probably from evaporating ice and whatnot out there, is causing all kinds of weather to happen. And fortunately for me today, and also by design, I chose a flight route that would take me on the upwind side of the lake, because you don't want to be on the downwind side where all the weather is developing. And you can kind of see in the distance there on the other side, way off in the distance, you can sort of see a little bit of like weather developing on the other side over there. Now I'm hoping that's not going to affect me too much, but it shouldn't too much, just given my routing is actually going to take me pretty much straight north, not north rather, sorry, east. I'm going very eastbound right now. And hopefully that'll keep me clear of all of that stuff and nice and safe. And definitely looking forward to the first stop here. You know, it's going to be good to have a nice little break and get some fuel for the plane and get ready for the next little leg here. And we're going to maybe redesign the leg here and just make sure that it's a nice, safe, comfortable day for me. I don't want to go too crazy, and I want to just have fun and get to my destination. No rush, just out enjoying my time. So let's keep flying along here.
Started my day 2 here. Was hoping to actually leave here yesterday, but ended up getting stuck here because the fuel pumps weren't working very well, but I managed to get it working. The friendly guys who are doing some construction here let me use their air pump heaters to heat up the plane. It's nice and toasty in the engine now. Hopefully we should have a nice quick start. And I'm basically off to the States today. Man, it's a long trip. It's a lot of work, but yeah, let's go.
All right, so everyone, welcome to day 2. Another beautiful, gorgeous day today. So I was actually, last night was a really rough night. I had a tough time in my room there. I stayed at this place, like I mentioned earlier. I was in Marathon for the night. It wasn't my intention, just the way things kind of turned out there, and ended up staying overnight, staying in a hotel there. And I think I got bit by something overnight, so I felt kind of nauseous in the morning, and I was so close to just calling it and turning back and going back home to Winnipeg there. But I felt better. I'm feeling better now. I'm on the way, still on the way to New Hampshire on the second leg here. See, we got over the lakes there. You got a heck of a lot of cloud, and I'm gonna have to keep an eye on that here. I might have to go below it here. Make sure that we stay VFR. But yeah, it's looking pretty nice out, and yeah, it's a good second little bit here, so I'm just gonna keep flying away here, keep doing my best, enjoy this beautiful, beautiful Canadian wilderness scenery here. Another day where I'm kind of in the middle of nowhere, but I am on Toronto, on the Toronto frequency here now, and Toronto Center, and they're guiding me through, so it's nice to actually hear some voices today. And hopefully that'll keep me from going crazy. But next stop, hopefully, should be the United States. Let's see what happens. you guys are gonna laugh like crazy. But yeah, so I was going out here, and as you can see, there's a little bit of scattered cloud around. And for all of you who are actually like experienced pilots, I don't know if you had experienced this before in your training, but I'm basically going along and I see all these clouds and I'm like, oh man, like I saw a wall of cloud in front of me that looked like a big wall of cloud. I was genuinely worried. I was thinking to myself, oh no, well I have to maintain VFR and drop down below the cloud, so I went down below the cloud. And it was super misty and super turbulent, only to realize that it was just scattered cloud. And I was able to just rise above it like this, and as you can see, just above the clouds here, and it's not really a big deal at all. It's like not that many clouds, but it was my first time, well, kind of this long cross country. It's kind of a high stakes flight, and I'm just kind of on edge, just sort of trying to navigate and do everything the best I can here. And just looking out, it's beautiful, beautiful place. I'm just about to pass by North Bay or something like that. And I think Sudbury is somewhere way off in the distance over there. Sudbury is where I wanted to end up last night, but unfortunately, because of the problem with the fuel, I was not able to stay at Sudbury there. But it's all good. Just making my way along, doing my fuel checks. For some reason in this plane, the left tank drains so much faster than the right tank. The left tank cover is on and everything. I can see it right out the window here. But yeah, I have to figure out what's up with that as well at some point. But otherwise, it's a good trip. It's definitely a tiring trip. I just had some cucumber to get my electrolytes up and give me some vitamins and water and whatnot. I don't want to get too much water though, because when I arrive at the border customs crossing there, I cannot leave the plane when I arrive, and I've been told that they'll come by around 4 o'clock, but I think I'm arriving before 3, so we'll see what happens. Maybe I can call them and beg them to come out earlier, and that would be really, really nice. But yeah, in any case, just moving along here, getting on this cross-country trip, and still having a good time. I'm still a little nervous because I'm not passing that many built-up areas. Like that's clearly a built-up area way over there, but in the other areas where I am, as you can see, this is just like pure, flat-out Canadian wilderness. So just want to keep at it, and I'm excited to get towards some more populated areas here. And I think I'm definitely strongly considering going back by the state because it's a lot more populous in the areas that I'd be passing over there. So we'll see what happens there. And yeah, looks like we got some good times ahead of us. So let's keep going. I just passed Sudbury there, and it gave me a good chance. I was about 2 hours away from my target, which is the American border there. And because it's over Sudbury, I realized they must have a really good cell phone signal. So I actually used that opportunity to call the border customs service, and they're going to come meet me out at the airport at my ETA. That's great. It's all sorted, all organized, and I'm just piddling along here. Actually, I have about an hour and 20 minutes left in this flight. It's a beautiful flight, having a lot of fun here. I looked off in the distance there. Fortunately, I'm not going to the direct south, but you can see that it looks like snow or something out there. There's some crazy stuff happening over there. In front of me, for the most part, it's quite clear. Looks pretty nice. A beautiful, more Canadian wilderness. Unfortunately, I never seem to get to a lot of built-up areas, and like I said before, I'm hoping the States will give me a chance to get to some more built-up areas there. But in any case, yeah, having fun, getting along here. I'm looking forward to landing so I can, once they check out all my stuff at customs there, I will get out, get some fuel, stretch my legs, and then I'll be on my last hour and a half to New Hampshire, and I'll be there, and then I'm going to take such a break when I get there. I'm going to really enjoy that rest, that's for sure. So let's just keep flying along here. We'll keep making our way out on this beautiful, beautiful day. And yeah, keep having fun. That's what it's all about, right? Ah! All right, so we finally arrived in the United States. We checked out, went in through customs there, just across the border from Ottawa, and it was all good. Everything went great, got fuel, and now we're heading to New Hampshire. And I was worried about, like, not really worried, but I diverted around the military area. But when I tuned into Boston Center, they're like, oh yeah, the military area is closed right now. So hopefully it's true, and it actually is closed. But just beautiful area here. I love this. Beautiful scenery. All right, you can see here, this is like, I'm flying through the MOA, they call it here. And yeah, just going through. It's gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep going along here, and because of that, I got to shave about 20 minutes or so off of my trip here, so I'm just gonna keep trucking along here. It looks like where I'm going, actually this works out quite well, because this route in particular, it takes me like right in between some of the mountain ranges, so it means less stuff for me to deal with. And overall, yeah, the sun is just setting here, and I'm very excited to hopefully get there before the sun goes down. I am night rated, but it's not fun when you can't see where you might have to go land, and you just have so many more options when you can. And the other thing is out here, like it's not as many lakes and stuff like that and fields as there were back in Winnipeg, so it might not be the best place, and mountains are definitely not a good place to go land. It's somewhere you definitely want to avoid. So I'm just gonna be safe, and I'm happy to get there before everything ends. That looks like a ski slope. Wonder if that's where we're going tomorrow. I don't know. That looks pretty cool. I don't know if you guys can see that. Definitely like a ski slope of some type out down there.
So, like I mentioned, I did not record what happened after that, but I'll give you a little rundown of what happened. And it was probably one of the scariest moments I've had in flying. And it was kind of funny looking back at it now. Of course, it wasn't at the time, but as I came in through the Adirondack Mountains, I planned this really nice route that took me through the middle of the mountains, through a valley, all the way to Keene, which is the airport I was going to land at there. And going in through that, it was sort of okay, but as I entered in, the sun went down, it got really dark, and if you haven't been in that area before, you might not know this, but it's extremely dark at night. A lot of those areas where it's that dark, even the horizon disappears. You don't have any horizon, it's just pitch black, and the ground and the sky all kind of merge together, especially on nights where they don't have any moon or the moon is really light. And that was unfortunately one of those nights, but what made it worse was there was also a bit of fog in the area, and it just was altogether kind of a bad situation, and I didn't have any really good alternates to go to around that area, so I called up the FIC, so the in-flight weather service there, and talked with them, and that guy was kind of freaking out. He's like, oh, don't worry, I'll stay on the radio, I'll talk with you the whole time, don't worry. And I'm like, okay man, it's okay. And so the good thing is they saw on their weather maps and on the radar that there was a little bit of low level kind of fog, like mountain fog and stuff like that. But upon getting to Keene, it was not so bad. So they gave me a great altitude that I could fly at. Of course, had all of my maps as well, so I could see the altitude of the area. That being said, because it was so dark, it was a little nerve-wracking because it is in the mountainous area. And, you know, there are always the chances that there might be a little bit of error with the GPS or something like that. So I made my way in. I got to Keene. Once I broke through the fog there, it was all clear. And at that point, I was about 4,000 feet above the aerodrome there, so there was no one around the area. I was able to just come on in and land on this beautifully long runway there, but it definitely was a little nerve-wracking because I saw just around the airport there were some elevated areas. It said some of the areas were up to like around 2,000 feet, and so I actually assumed that those areas would be closer to the airport than they actually were. And so I was very careful. I just went right over the airport. I did a really tight circuit over an area. I knew there were no mountains because I could see the lights of the city below me. And I came in, did my landing, taxied off. And the funny thing is, when I went the next day,
to check out the airplane and all that kind of stuff. I looked around at what I thought were these big mountains the night before, and actually it was just these tiny little hills that weren't that high at all. But I was eternally grateful for the in-flight weather service, the FIC down there in the States, and they're similar in Canada as well. So if you're a new pilot and you find yourself in that situation, give them a call. They're there to help you. They're really wonderful. They even called me when I got down on the ground to make sure I was okay. And you know, it's just really great service. A lot of really wonderful people there. So that was probably the best part of the experience. But you know, it's something you definitely don't want to get caught in mountains at night in an area you're not familiar with, because that's just calling for trouble. And it wasn't my intention. I actually had kind of assumed that the end of civil twilight would be the same as it was in Manitoba, which it was not the case. So you know, things like that, that's something I should have looked at before. I only knew what the civil twilight was where I came from, not where I was going. And so these are all little lessons that I learned. But in any case, that's the end of part one of me flying down to New Hampshire. I'll have another part, maybe a couple parts, one part maybe talking about what I did once I got there and the wonderful time I had with friends and family. And then I'll do one last part of me flying back all the way up and the harrowing experience of flying back to Marathon, the cursed airport that I just absolutely despise because of the fuel pump when I first got there, and a whole bunch of other stuff, flying in absolute pitch darkness from Marathon to Thunder Bay. And yeah, that was something else. And it being a day that I had flown for about it must have felt like around 6 or 7 hours, and I flew all the way to like 10 hours. It was just a long day and it was tiring, but we'll get to that when we get there. And it was an amazing adventure, as you see in the videos. Lots of stuff to be learned. I hope this is helpful for the rest of you who are, you know, thinking about doing your either PPL or CPL cross country. And as always, I just am so thankful to have all of you joining me on my late departure and coming along with me on this trip. It's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to continuing on this trip in the future. But if any of you are out flying, I hope you're having fun. It's a beautiful day today. Go out and fly today. And be safe, be very safe. Don't fly into any random mountainous areas that are unfamiliar at night. And, you know, just remember, it's never too late. See you next time.